Okay. Hi. Good morning. I was about to start driving without even reading. So, off to an amazing start. This time I set up my mic again because this is the method that I have for myself, and the other days I was just being enough, but still doing it enough. So, okay. Whew. Today's word of the day is blurb. B-L-U-R-B. Blurb. It's a noun. It's a brief commendatory publicity notice as a book jacket. What? A brief commendatory publicity notice as a book jacket. That's what a blurb is. Interesting. A brief commendatory publicity notice as a book jacket. You know, are book jackets those like pieces of papers that go around books, like the hardcover books that are like bold and like, here's New York best time, like they have all these quotes on it? And is that what a book jacket is? Because if that's what a book jacket is, I personally dislike those. I immediately take those off of my books and just leave the hardcover. And I'm assuming the book jackets are there to actually protect the hardcover while they're on the shelves. But holy, there's just a lot of information on there that I get it. You're trying to entice people to buy the book, but sometimes it deters me from buying a book. Like, if I was to have a book jacket, it'd be very minimal. Like, it would literally just be to cover, like maybe write on this, like, this is to protect the book. Discard me at your, I don't know, leisure. I don't know. Yeah, a blurb. A commendatory publicity notice. A blurb. I haven't heard that word in a while. Interesting. That's the point of why I'm reading this dictionary. Also, I can feel the change in my approach to... Am I crazy? Am I crazy? To approach how I start talking when I actually have an earbud in my ear and I can hear myself a bit, or I can hear my surroundings a bit. Bit interesting. Quite interesting. I woke up today and actually was immediately reading. I told you it's like a habit thing you have to build slowly over time. You gotta pat yourself on the shoulders for placing the bar and then reaching the bar and touching the bar and then passing the bar and then moving the bar up and then touching the bar again. Okay. What's really important, what I learned from the psychology of money, is when to know that bar doesn't need to move anymore. What you call your minimum. But I don't want to call it the minimum, because I know when I say that that's the minimum, then you just stop at the minimum. So you call it your average. I think my approach to call it that's my average. Like, my average is to read 2 pages a day. And so you might say, well, what's your minimum? A sentence. A sentence is my minimum, but my average is 2 pages a day. And that is like that inside my mind tells me, hey, I gotta read a sentence, but I gotta understand that if I only read a sentence today and I'm tracking how many pages I read a day and I find that my average is a fucking sentence, I think there's a problem here when I try to set my average for 2 pages. And so I'm gonna use this approach. And you might say, well, I'm not set a maximum. I'll know when my maximum is because I have to go ahead and move about my day. I don't have the freedom or the independence to just leisurely read all day in this economy. Now, I might at this time currently because I'm on medical leave. However, once there's a job in place, there's other things that need to be done. 2 pages on average, I feel is okay. Some would say read 20 pages a day because that'd be X amount of average books a year. Yada yada this, yada yada that. They don't know me. I don't know them. This is my bar. My bar. Rather than the cat in the car. No, they're putting a cat in the house. I thought they were putting a cat, but now they're just walking outside. Or they're walking outside with a cat in their hands. He's not a cat in the... What? Okay. But yeah, so... maybe I'm going to go ahead and start tracking the number of pages that I went ahead and read. Again, another metric. And a lot of my life's starting to become these metrics to go ahead and measure myself. And it's accountability. It is accountability for myself. And I'm finding that another thing I need to do before I go to bed is go ahead and reflect on my whole entire day and see what did I do today? What are the plans for tomorrow? What am I feeling so far? And then go ahead and start planning for the next day. And I'm blessed to be here today. Be absolutely grateful if I get to wake up tomorrow. Because you never know. You never know. Hear the little static. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Quite interesting indeed. Not me. Wrong person. Are we sleeping at the wheels, guys? Like every single one of them is sleeping. But they're not sleeping at the wheel, they're just so consumed with their phones that every single person's looking down and they're just drowning. Quite the world we live in. It is what it is. It is what it is, because yeah. Whew. Golly. Yeah, setting up my own goals, setting up my own approaches. And I think the quote that I love for myself now, even while reading these books, is if I'm doing it for myself, I'll do it slow. If I'm doing it for others, I'll want it fast. I was thinking yesterday when I was at the gym, or not at the gym, but late at night, after I had after I ate my breakfast that I cooked for myself, that follows the meal plan, my meal prep. Holy cow, that's a lot of food, by the way. I didn't realize that was that much food, and I was like feeling it. Dinner I ate what my family had, which was tacos, and afterwards, towards when I was going to sleep, I was like, dude, I'm really craving a sweet. I already said it, I love sweets, and slowly over time, I'm going to go ahead and reduce, not eliminate, reduce the amount of sweets I ingest. And that is simply because I love sweets, and it's something that is worth living for. Truthfully. In my personal life. You're gonna have things that, those like sweet things that you kind of live for. Some people have it like that. For me right now, it's sweets. And again, it's part of my environment right now when there happens to be a ton of sweets. So, having just that one that I had last night, I pat myself on the shoulder to not have more than that. I pat myself on the shoulder. Because regardless, if I'm eating all this high protein stuff, or high protein meals, and I'm working out, and my muscles get built, but let's say I don't lose all the fat immediately, Well, now I have all the muscles there, now that I know that I can see what my body is being sculpted to with the bulk. Well, I'll go ahead and see what it's like to sculpt myself down, to remove the excess marble on my body. I want this for myself. It's not for other people. I'm not trying to compete. I'm not trying to put myself completely out there and make my whole personality about my body. That's 100% not true. Is it partially true? Something in my body where I kind of wanted some of my reputation to be built on that? Yeah, because there's the pretty privilege exists. It does exist. It's something that is a truth. And I'm not saying it. Okay, pause. Why do I want pretty privilege? Why would someone want this idea of pretty privilege? It's the admiration and respect that comes with it. And I think the psychology of money made that apparent with the idea of wealth that I kept on talking to myself. I was like, be rich. I want to have a shit ton of money so I can go ahead and spend all the money. But they made a point. It's like, you don't want $1 million to be a millionaire. You want $1 million so you can spend $1 million. Because after you spend $1 million, are you still a millionaire? No. You've lost that status now. So instead of asking for 1 million, ask for 2. I think Arnold made a joke about that. He said your first millionaire is the hardest to make, so start with the second. And I think that's that principle where you make $1 million, you spend it all, and you realize, oh shit, I lost all the money that I worked so hard to do because I just wanted to fucking spend it. So Arnold's a great joke, by the way. So, yeah, I think for myself, I wanted to get physically fit so people and everyone would admire and this and that. But in my mind now, I'm altering and shifting this mindset for it's admiration and respect, but it's also my ability to go ahead and perform tasks. If someone sees you're physically built, if someone sees it, they know that you have that discipline to go ahead and get inside the gym. You have some form of discipline to go ahead and do that. So if I, for myself, get physically fit, if I get to that point, it shows people who are wanting me in their circle, who are wanting me. Wait, why is it getting more staticky? Who are wanting me to, or who potentially might want me to work with them. If they see that I'm physically fit, it's a sign of discipline. It's a sign of I can show up to something even when it's hard, even when it's grueling, even when there isn't immediate results that are shown. Because it leads to something grand and greater. It goes away from the idea that I'm physically built and so like, oh wow, he's so good looking, oh wow, he's handsome, to wow, he's physically built. This person inside their mind has distilled discipline, consistency, and intensity to get them where they are now. That no matter what, you can show that it's reliable. It is a sign of reliability to consistently go to the gym. It is a sign of that. If it's that important to me, I reliably show up. Now, the key thing is it has to be important to me. So, take that as you please. Take that as you please. Yeah, anyways, I'm at the gym. We go inside, get to it. I'm actually going to do bag work today for my cardio. I'm talking about it before. And it's my tertiary arm day. Yeah, tertiary. So, it's grand, it's great. And I gotta go ahead and start looking for jobs again because disability is not gonna pay forever because it only took that I worked for half a year. Although, yeah, that's just how it works. Unfortunately. Alrighty. Catch you all in the reflection. Bye. Alrighty. Time to do my end of workout reflection. Today was tertiary arms. And it honestly went, I'd want to say, pretty okay. The bag work got to start since I was just wailing at it. I just called it, bag barrage. Also, this car parked, or is it a line? It's a line. Holy moly. What fucking craze. I have no idea what this line's for, but so be it. It was just a bag barrage where I was just kind of throwing fucking punches at that bag. So, it was just cardio. It was really sloppy. I don't think I'll do that again without being conscious of actually what I'm doing. I think I'm fine with throwing punches. I have one where it's just throwing punches. Excuse me, but slowly so I know the pathway. One where I'm really focusing on my footing and using my footing for drawing my power. And so, if I focus on one where it's actually the weight of my fist actually falling all the way through, then, that's not a bad bag workout to have included. So yeah, that was pretty alright. Regarding actual weightlifting, triceps pushdowns were pretty okay. I did 40 pounds. Not the heaviest in the world. Really was focusing on the squeeze on the bottom. And I superset it into tricep cable overhead. So a lot of tricep work, but that was only at 30 pounds. So a lot more of this one was high reps, low weight. So, not too bad. Again, tertiary arm day, but I shouldn't use it as an excuse, since this is really the major day when I'm actually hitting my triceps. I do not want my triceps to be absolutely massive compared to the rest of my arms. I want my proportions to be about okay. So I think that's why I allowed myself to slip up on this. However, repetition and redundancy is what is repeated. And I gotta make sure that I'm still mindful while I do things. Very mindful. Yeah. Going into lateral raises, I went from 10 pounds on the cable, realized actually that was being a lot lighter, even with a pause towards the top. So I upped it to 20 pounds, and that's really what was getting me. And I call them BTB, but they're like behind the back. I don't know if that acronym means something else. Probably should have looked at it, but it all means something in the context of something. But for me, that's behind the back. I really want to focus more on my rear shoulder muscles, if that makes sense. Rather put the tension towards the back to give myself a little bit of a fuller definition, since my front is constantly worked with incline bench press. I did a bunch of that before. So I'm trying to make sure my rear delts my rear shoulder muscles get that bulk, so then I have actually bolder shoulders. That was overall great, even with the pausing. That one felt really, really good, but that's because I really care about the strength of my shoulders and the actual definition and looks that they have. I believe shoulders are a key part of a physique. So, moving towards forearm curls, I worked on my forearms here, and I did Zoatman curls, but with the cable. And I would want to say they were more like Cobra curls. Cobra curls, you grab the weight and then you pull it up. These ones I actually twisted my arm in the motion about at the 45-degree angle to really squeeze, and so I believe that's what a Zoatman curl is. They're typically done with dumbbells, so I called it a cable Zoatman curl. And I would superset it into wrist push downs, like wrist curls, to still stimulate some of my wrist. And I did that, normal stance and in the opposite direction. I.e., pretend like you're a cat that's scratching, and then the other way is then turn your hand around and then pull it down like you're trying to display something on the palm of your hand towards someone. Those were the motions I was doing. I was sitting down though, and I locked my wrist against my leg and used my other hand to hold my arm there to really feel my wrist muscles actually in action. So that was my forearm. Now, improvement in each of these workouts, for the tricep push downs, I don't know, I feel like triceps for me I don't feel like I get the full spread and stretch that I need to, and so I might alternate towards longer cables or longer ropes. I mean, because I've done straight bar push downs, I've done the V push downs, and I just don't feel like it's enough of a stretch, or I get enough of a rotation that I would like at the bottom of my workout. So that's where I stand with that. Now, there's a police behind me. I have no idea where he's going. Oh, turn here. No, he's not. Interesting. You just gotta wonder, why is there, why are you following me? But they're just doing their job. They're just going about their day. Okay, so for that one, I feel like I might need to experiment with different cable accessories in order to actually get a feel for my triceps on the bottom for rotating. I might go back to single arm push downs. That allows a better, lockout on the bottom that I like. Oh, they left. They bounced. I think they went towards Home Depot. No, they went towards the PetSmart. So, however, doing ISO movements, you just gotta alternate between your hands. It's not the end of the world. Right, but the time, bro, you got time. Right now there is time to go ahead and not worry too much. No worry, there is a solution. Yeah. So, that's for tricep. Overhead. I think overhead is very much fine with the cable, actually. I actually prefer the overhead with the cable. Now, could I go to skull crushers? Skull crushers, goated. Not gonna lie. I believe skull crushers are goated. So. But I like supersetting the two, so I actually get the full tricep, the full burn around the whole entire muscle, the short and long head. So, I'll keep those on the cable. Regarding lateral raises, I feel like I need to go ahead and actually like touch my shoulder muscle and know exactly which one's doing the work. And I need to go ahead and not actually lean and use my body weight to also pick up some of the weight. I feel like I'm doing a bit of that. And so, you know, put my hand on my waist and not lean. Or if I'm going to lean in and make the workout actually harder. You know, put more stress. I might have to decrease the weight if I go ahead and do that. However, I'm already doing it behind the back. You know, the cable's already crossed behind my back while I'm doing this motion. So, trying my best to... Well, we're experimenting. We're still figuring it out. We're still paving the road for myself. Let me not go ahead and start phrasing it like that. Now... for my forearms, I might need to increase the weight. I was only doing 20 pounds, oh man, girls. I really like to do 30 pounds, get a bigger and better squeeze. And I feel like I need to go ahead and do another rotational movement for my forearm. I feel like if I get that down for my tricep, I won't feel as much of it or need as much of it on this like forearm workout. So I assume they already bounced. So yeah, I'm not gonna take off my seatbelt yet because that's actually holding up the voice recorder. So yeah, that's what I feel for my forearms. I feel like I need to go ahead and like lock, like place and like hold my elbow into my body a bit more when I do the pull downs. Maybe not do cable and instead just do dumbbells off on a bench. I need to do a little bit more field testing and feeling for what will work for my forearms. So yeah, dynamic stretching was pretty grand, pretty great. I like to meditate for about 5 minutes or so. I'm not too sure. I kind of lose track of time. I don't time it when I sit there and I'm meditating. And I do it purposely in the gym because I feel like the noise acts as a challenge for me really to hum out everything and really look inwards. So yeah. That's where the stretching was pretty grand. A lot of my stretching is really focused on my legs rather than my arms. I do some arm movements. I neglected my wrist. That's because other people were inside the stretching room for a moment. It's okay that they were there, but my mind got cloudy and foggy, you know. No, you don't know. The fuck, why do you say that? So, yeah, that was something. Might go right now on the living room floor and do those real quick. Just to make sure I check that off. Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I'm grateful that I get to do this today. I'm grateful that I got to do that today. I'm grateful. Alrighty, so the word of the reflection, that's what I call this one. Oh crap. Holy cow. Well, it was not that long. Can't stretch that far. Alright. The word of the reflection is, let's do something a little bit towards the back. Right there. Whelp. W-H-E-L-P. Whelp. It's a noun. Whelp, whelp, whelp. It is a young holy cow. Pause. Whelp. It's a noun. A young offspring of a dog, wolf, etc. A mere child or youth. That's two. B, an impudent young fellow. And the verb of this is to give birth to whelps. Whelp. W-H-E-L-P. A young offspring of a dog, wolf, etc. So if it's like a canine, is that... I don't know, I'm not a biologist. But a whelp. Interesting. Dog-like animal is what I'll use. Dog-like. What is a dog? A mere child or youth, an impudent young fellow, and the verb is to give birth to whelps. Whelp. Whelp. Without the H. That's it for this reflection. Thank you for listening, and this is Future Me. Smells like Updog in here. Mwah. I pray. Okay, it's not crazy. Oh, there was the first one. Alright. I'm learning, or I guess I'm revisiting a topic about recovery and about having selective days off from, like, say, working out, or even from posting these videos. Having a day off is not sort of to... I really don't know if I want this mic hooked up like this, because the fucking static. And yeah, I just took it off. I would rather this just be here, and I actually can hear myself and the rubbing against my chest, because this is what I originally did. Now, having the mic is perfectly fine. I can set the mic up for something else. But, holy cow. This is a brute for me. And it's okay to change the way you do something, or sort of the methods, as long as you keep the core principle. I'm still reflecting. It's just, I'm not setting up my mic every damn time inside my car. And more importantly, I'm not dealing with the static that comes with the cable. I want to do it with my voice recorder. That's the truth. Now, I bought this mic to go ahead and do this, but I can do these in a different way where I set it up. In a more controlled environment that isn't a fucking shaky ass car. That's the fucking truth. So, talk about having a fucking pissed attitude this morning. Fuck. There's nothing really I'm pissed about. But, rather, I'm gonna just shut the fuck up for a moment and just fucking read the word of the day. I'm taking off the earbud too. Holy shit, I'm taking off the fucking... Holy shit. Why the fuck am I so worried about audio? Like, where did this come from? And I think it came from the idea... Holy shit. Word of the day first, and then I'll explain. Oh, well, I think my dictionary is now going into 3 pieces. I think I need to go ahead and do something about that. The word is lacerate. Lacerate. It's a verb. Lacerated, lacerating. It means to tear, mangle. Laceration is a noun. Lacerative is an adjective. To tear, mangle. Well, I think I just lacerated my dictionary into another piece. So I need to go ahead and move it up from the top of my dashboard. Oh, but I was sitting with myself yesterday, and yesterday I did go to the gym. I didn't post. Right. And there is no excuse for why I didn't post. I just didn't do it. It's as simple as that. Oh, but why? Sometimes it wasn't a main priority, and I don't feel like I've been reinforcing the person that I want to become enough. You just do the things, and then you shut the fuck up, and you consistently do them. And excuse me, you have a belief that it will work out with the form of consistency, with the consistency that you have. And yeah, man, the key is consistency, and I've known that's the key. I have the planning, I can do the execution. The thing is consistency, and what I'm learning from the book Anti-Fragile is redundancy, repetition, i.e. overcompensation, to enforce and a concept is what's needed. And so, regarding the gym. Regarding the gym. I do my morning ramble to get my brain started. I do an after work reflection to go ahead and reflect on what I need to do on my muscles. I need to go ahead and incorporate an end of the day before I go to sleep reflection on exactly how I did today, or rather an end of the day preparation for tomorrow. And I mentioned it. Now I just need to go ahead and implement it. And the implementation is the point. I feel like, how do I say this? I've told myself just slowly adjust. I think I need to go ahead and in a non-linear format fucking shock my body massively. Shock it in such a way that it understands, like, hey, like we're supposed to be steering in this direction. And then ease off. And then shock immediately, compound. Then ease off, then compound. Like shock muscles, like you have to shock it. Give yourself recovery. Give yourself a day where it goes, okay, you don't have to do everything to the maximum effort, but go ahead and feel what it's like not to do that, and then it reminds you why the fuck you're doing it, and then you go, oh shit, I can't fucking do that. But you have to take these scheduled fucking days off, because I'm sitting here, I'll go to the gym, 6 times a week, right? Actually, I've been going almost 7 days a week, even though like my rest day is cardio. And that's fine. No, shut the fuck up. That's not fucking fine. No, I need to allow my body to recover outside of that atmosphere. Because when I go to the gym, it triggers inside my body. We're going to go ahead and burst these muscles out. My body's like, hey, we need time to actually rebuild. It's like a constant force on my body when my body needs, hey, like, ease off for a day. You know? Let us go ahead and rebuild properly. And I'm like, okay, this is now becoming something I need to go ahead and incorporate. And it sounds like in my brain, it's like, dude, what the fuck? Why the fuck are you gonna ease off of the gas? And I have to remind myself that when I don't ease off the fucking gas, I fucking burn myself out and then fucking stop doing shit. Like, no, we need to go ahead and do scheduled days. Scheduled days without that shit. You know, have a schedule, like a week-long schedule, like for things that I do. Like what I would have for academia it's like a week-long rinse, repeat. And some days I didn't do something else because that's recovery. I had this strategic imbalance of my work schedule and like my coursework to get shit done, because it's like lifting weights, an extensively large, amount of weight, and you push through it, and then you damage and you repair, and then you give your body time to recover. So I need to alternate my workout plan again. And it takes that commitment to also the food plan. Because you can't outrun your diet. You cannot outrun your diet. That is just not how it works. Day in, day out, you cannot outrun your diet, because you will inevitably not have the time one day to go ahead and outrun it. And so if you build a concrete meal plan that has room for error, another thing that I'm understanding, room for error, then it'll be great. I noticed that I need to go ahead, let me backtrack here. Just because I have to eat up to a certain amount of calories a day doesn't mean that all my meals have to be up to that certain calories a day, when you know that you snack on smaller things in between, or will drink some drink in between, because then you cap yourself out at your calories without wiggle room to go ahead and actually enjoy a sweet treat. And you might say, like, what like I like sweets, okay? And you're like, oh well, you know, I'm not trying to be a fucking professional bodybuilder. I'm just trying to look lean and good, and still have sweets in my meals. And that's a realization that I'm accepting. So guess what? Maybe instead of fucking stacking my fucking pre-workout meals all the way up to fucking 1,800 calories, 2,100 calories, maybe I should stack them up to fucking 1,600 calories. Because guess what? If I fucking slam 4 fucking cookies, I'm still at 2,000. You're like, well, the fucking sugar. Shut the fuck up. It's just a caloric deficit. For the most part, it's just a caloric deficit. I'm not maximizing at this time my muscle building. I'm not maximizing. And you're like, well, what about your fat loss? I will say this quote again. If you want it for yourself, you'll do it slowly. If you want it for other people, you'll want it as fast as fucking possible. I don't want it as fast as fucking possible. At this point, there's nothing to prove to other people. It's about finding the lifestyle that works for me. That's the truth I am accepting. And it's just accepting that truth is where I'm at now. Just accepting that truth. Golly, dude. It's just... I think the book also made me open up to the idea that I'm not machine. When I have been modeled inside my brain to find these most efficient paths towards something, disregarding the fact that I am emotional, I respond to emotional triggers, and I assume I take out that variable from my equations regarding myself. Of course, I'm setting myself up for failure because it's a key variable, and it's a variable that I do have control over. That's what I would like to say. But I have to be honest with myself. Still learning how to control my emotions is something I am doing. It's still something I am doing. And that's like a lifelong commitment to understand your emotions and to hold your composure. And I'm not going to say that I have it all figured out. Like, I control my fucking emotions. I know what the fuck I'm doing. Because the way I'm talking right now is a clear act that I'm not controlling my emotions. If I could control my emotions in the absolute, I believe in that sense, I would talk in an almost monotone manner. Because you wouldn't overexert yourself to get your point across, because you're getting your point across to yourself and it doesn't need to be emotionally filled, emotionally driven. You wouldn't have to motivate yourself the same way because monotone would do it just perfectly fine. That's my theory. But I'm an emotional creature. I get hyped up with music. I get fucking sad. I get fucking tilted. It is just true. I'm a fucking hypocrite. I think I have to accept that I'm a fucking hypocrite when, towards myself, really, setting up these fucking goals, and it's like, dude, you're a fucking bitch. And it sounds like, I know Trevor Moad would tell me not to talk down about myself, but I also know to be honest and apparent about where I am currently and not fucking gloss myself over and not say the truth. So, when you make it visible, when you make it apparent, just because I'm saying facts that can be backed by evidence, it's not talking down on yourself. It's making what you are right now apparent and understand that that's not what you are. Just because I say I am a bitch at this current moment for being a fucking hypocrite doesn't mean I won't change. It means I understand that I'm a hypocrite and I gotta fucking actually keep my fucking actions or keep my fucking word to myself and to other people. And what I'm realizing now is this fucking active I give up. Why am I giving up? I asked myself that. Why the fuck would I give up? And I wrote before, like it's school. It's this other thing, it's this other thing, it's this other thing, it's this other thing. And who fucking cares? If it's important to you, you still fucking show up. I kind of wrote that on one of my Instagram stories at one point. I was like, if it's important to you, you show the fuck up. If it's important to you, you just show the fuck up. You don't make fucking excuses. But I think also, like, I don't make excuses at this point. I'm just a lazy ass fucking bitch. It's true. Like, why the fuck? Where did I see it? Why the fuck are you resting right now? When you die, that's when you have plenty of time to rest. Because right now, every single moment fucking counts. And as, I'm not saying fucking work yourself to the fucking ground, but why the fuck are you living so comfortably and so leisurefully when you're not even where you want to be? I get it. Appreciate the moment, because once the moment's gone, I get it. Like, these are the good old days. I'm living in them right now. But fuck, if I don't do anything in the good old days, then it ain't gonna be no good old days. It's just gonna be some old days with fucking big ass regrets in the future. Like, that's the fucking truth. I want to say it like this, and maybe this might fucking kick me in the ass in the future. But that's because I'm giving it room. I'm so sorry. But to not give it as much room, I do not want to provide an item that doesn't bring some quality of life improvement to people. That's what, like, my current thing with capitalism is. And a lot of modern capitalism is just fucking AI slop, drop shipping, selling it for a higher price than what you're actually... excuse me. Than your other people who are providing the same product, because your branding and your... And the voice and the idea you give behind it is so much more. I understand, like, okay, but you don't have... It doesn't fucking matter. That's just the system we live in. Fuck. Alrighty, I'm at the gym. I'm gonna go work out. And I'll come back with my workout reflection. And I gotta spend today actually fucking doing shit. Instead of just fucking internalizing them inside my mind, actually fucking doing shit. And I think I need to start carrying a notebook around with me again about things that I need to do. I don't like doing it on my phone because they're hidden behind these fucking apps that don't fucking show you anything. It's not on the front fucking cover. But yeah, the notebook you can fucking open up. And you might say that, well, like, the notebook app should be the first thing you open. Probably. Maybe we'll make that a habit. A behavior, rather. Not a habit. I'm going to use the word fucking habit. Behavior. It's a behavior. Consistent behavior. Repeat it daily. Well, that's just a habit. Well, you just don't want to say the whole fucking phrase. It's a behavior. I'm going to keep it as a behavior. Anyways, thank you for listening. Jose, what the fuck? I think, Jose, you read what you wrote in 2023 and you realized that you know the answers. So fucking just consistently do it. Stop fucking bitching. Stop fucking complaining. Stop giving the fuck up. You give the fuck up because, that's not who Dude, of course it's not who you are right now. That's who you're becoming. It's not who I am right now. It's who am I becoming. Who am I becoming? Mwah. I only did cardio. Sunday is now my other rest day. And I came to that decision while I was on the treadmill. And I had just spoke about resting. And how would I say this knowing that today would be a good time to rest? Would my other rest day is Thursday? So, yeah, I decided today to make it a rest day. You adapt as you go. You adapt as you go. Is this like a whole squad of everybody going to the gym? No, it is not. It is a squad of older people. Interesting. I know I would normally save the word of the day, or the word of reflection for the end, but I'm going to start it off now. Yeah, it's different, but it's okay. You're allowed to do things differently. And I have to remember that this is more for me and than it is for this idea of being a content creator. I realized that when I was younger, I wanted to be a YouTuber. You know, you watch Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie, Sunday, Sky Does Minecraft. You watch, you know, all these different people. Hell, you watch Mind Chops, another channel. The Chills was the other one, you know. As much as it was a meme, it was content that we watched. Watch Mojo. Those type of channels that existed. And now when you go back and look at these channels and how much it's changed, it's just, there's so much going on in that space. I'm not saying making a platform is difficult. I mean, look at Mr. Beast. But Mr. Beast became this idea of having a chance to leave the rat race through luck if you gotta meet him. And so we'll subscribe to him because that's the chance of you getting out of that rat hole. What happens if he walks up and he asks if you're subscribed? Here's $1 million, and you're not subscribed. Yeah. I don't watch Mr. Beast. I did for a bit, and then I stopped because it was just... yeah. It wasn't the YouTube I knew. And streamers, the idea of being a streamer, I'd done that in middle school, streaming Minecraft Pocket Edition. It's a space that I have outgrown. There's a lot of things I've outgrown. I'm going to talk about that. But first, the word of the reflection. Benumb. Benumb. B-E-N-U-M-B. Benumb. To make numb, especially by cold. To make inactive. Stupefy. Benumb. To make numb. And I guess, though, that is what I will be doing right now. To be numb old desires that I have outgrown, and to accept that I have outgrown them, and to move forward. You know, no, stop saying that. You know. I know. Enough about the phrasing, but try to convey the message. I don't want to be a content creator. I don't want to be a streamer. I don't want to be those things, but is another source of income that can exist as you pursue the profession that you like, that you want to go ahead and have as a career. And so, content creation, streaming on my own time, rather than that being my full career, is more of a side hustle than it is what I will be moving forward. And I'm going to accept that. I am accepting that notion. And it's, striking to say, like, whoa, like, this isn't your main job. No, it's not my main job, because personally I don't believe that when you solely base your career on a vague concept, such as content creation, it's not going to go far. And truthfully so, like, this is, people do it. Yeah, you're a full-time gamer and you go ahead and content creation and streaming is your main source of income. I found I can't play video games all day. I truly can't. As much as I did as a kid, I did it as a kid as an avoidance mechanism to dissociate from what goes on around me. And now, as I am a bit older, not a lot older, a bit older, and not a lot more experienced, but somewhat experienced, a little bit more, I know I can handle not having that be my sole way to escape from everything going on around me. So it's a side hustle. If it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't, and that's okay, because that's a part of the process. You try a million things, not every single thing's gonna work. You can lose half the time and still make a fortune. You can be wrong half the time and still make a fortune. So, yeah. What's grand and so great? Grand and great. Does she want to try to get into this lane? I'm unsure. I give you room if that's what you desire to do. Yeah, so I'm accepting that's, I knew it. I'm not, am I crazy? I need to have a long-term project that is just beyond fitness. I already explained previously that fitness is an immediate display of reliability, dependability, discipline, and I believe I will extend beyond that by having a project that will take years to produce, but not for the sake for myself. The project is for myself. Something that I can look back upon and be like, wow, like I spent my time doing that. And I have to say it like this: to put my best foot forward in the act for the entirety of the process and understand that it will take time, and to go ahead and still display the project on the deadline that I set for myself in its entirety. So, you can't expect your first time to be the best. And this is the whole point, is to go ahead and produce something. Give yourself deadlines. There was something I read on LinkedIn. Yeah, I know. When you have goals, set big goals. And when you're talking about progress, look at the smaller goals in between. Think small. You think big, progress, think small. What step did you do better today than you did last week? How have you done better from the start of the process? And you got to understand the whole entire scope of it all. Yeah. Talk about... I saw a place to eat, and it made me want to eat there, just because I keep seeing it. However, I don't have a steady source of income that justifies eating there. I have food to make at home, because that is my financial goal. I am reminding myself of my financial goal and where I stand financially. What that would bring me is the comfort of not cooking. But it would bring me the discomfort of spending money when I don't got it like that. The idea that going out to eat is a luxury. It is a very big luxury. And social media, the amount of times it appears in front of you, presents it as common to eat out, to go ahead and always want to go out and eat, instead of accepting that home-cooked meals are the norm. And I believe it's a lot to do with the way that the world has worked, on making money, on conditioning people, and how much each of these structures has changed with time, and how the mindset behind it has not. For myself. Don't get. It's not. I. What an interesting world we live in. Social media, what has it done? Well, it's time to plan. I don't need the fanciest pieces of paper. And although it might make sense in my mind, that's not how it will work. So, to push and strive forward with what I got. Because, do I really, really need it? Or is it the illusion of what that item will bring me? Because I think I've learned now that although you may buy the best things in the world, it doesn't bring you the results every single time. Starting to tie in a lot of my things. I'm gonna go ahead and do book reflections too. Thank you for listening. I'm gonna go back to the mindset that these are a lot more for me than they are for someone else, and I believe if people see that I'm doing it a lot more for me rather than for some audience that bless me. See ya, Jose. See ya. Ooh, Ron. Whew. Man. So, today's word of the day. Melanin. M-E-L-A-N-I-N. It's a noun. It's a dark pigment found in the skin, retina, and hair. It comes from Greek, from the word melas, which means black. Melanin. Interesting. Alrighty. Writing down the plan is the step forward. Writing down the plan. Having a physical record of the plan that I want to achieve and be detailed on the goal. Not the process, but on the goal. Will plant the seed inside my mind to get there. And I believe that has been another piece of the puzzle that I've been neglecting. I understand that consistency is key, but I believe also having a detailed goal is also important. The same way that Jim Carrey carried a check with him for I forgot how many millions of dollars that he would get paid through acting, that act as a detailed goal to get there, and he had a constant reminder of it inside his wallet. And so what can be a constant reminder for me is actually the wallpaper on my phone, and I would say a tattoo to put on my hand. Now I'm gonna stick and poke myself, but I have to buy the stuff, and financially speaking, I'm not gonna go ahead and do that. Still have financial goals, but setting these financial goals for myself. Can I fit through there is the real question. I believe so, but I'm going to wait, actually. So, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I mean, I found paper from a notebook that I had that actually broke, and was writing on it the other day while reading my book, or reading the book that I purchased to reflect on. And I'm going to go ahead and have that with me. And there's other things that I'm incorporating into the lifestyle that I want to go ahead and become, or I am becoming. You know, I talked about the other day where it was like small steps and then you shift. And I believe what's happening, and what really feels almost like a sudden shift, is that as you build different pieces of it at a different time, and that your body understands, okay, this piece is working this way, then suddenly all of it aligns and clicks. And you shift into that mindset and that being. And I believe that's another form, what I believe I called it the other day, a strategic imbalance. However, I believe that's how my mind is working towards building the life that I want to live. You know, wake up in the morning and read affirmations. Wake up in the morning, read. Wake up in the morning, reflect on my previous workout, on, you know, whatever today is. I'd either these things, you know, readjust my meal plan. I had to readjust my meal plan, actually. Not the actual food, but rather the quantity that I was eating, because inside my mind I believed I had to hit that limit for the calories when I know I'm going to snack on something. And so why not give myself leeway to go ahead and snack? And honestly, that's a lot of damn food I was consuming. I'm not saying I want to lose weight, but I believe what I should be saying is I want to lose body fat and gain muscle. I want to lose body fat and gain muscle. And so does that correlate exactly with what the scale is saying? If I stay 200 pounds, is that really telling me the full story? And I go, no, it's not telling me the full story, because I'm worried about my body fat percentage, not just the raw number. I need to go ahead and get a little bit more detailed in exactly what it is that I'm pursuing. So, these are important factors that I'm taking in. And I'm noticing too, for myself, and this might be other people who are living in my living in a similar situation in my generation, or it's been reverbed throughout generation, you know, however long. But it feels like this suffocating air being around my parents and wanting this change or liberation of freedom, because you know that your actions, or you feel that your actions, are going to go ahead and be used against you through tone or through something, because historically your parents have shown that behavior before. And so even though you may be older now, your parents still have an image of you inside their mind that you're not whatever age that you're saying you are, and they don't know the changes that you have experienced within your life mentally, because it's not being expressed visibly. And I believe to overcome this, you know, this gap, is to express yourself mentally how you've changed, and that becomes a heavy topic. Yeah, dude, you don't have to tailgate. You tailgating is not gonna make me drive faster. You tailgating just pisses you off. And I say this for myself too, because there's this notion that I have inside my mind that like I am a certain way because that's how my parents see me, but that's not how I see myself. But I still want my parents to have this image of me as a kid, but I gotta accept the fact that I'm changing. And this is what I believe. Excuse me. Some parents will say is, you're changing. Well, you ain't showing it. You ain't doing anything different. You ain't, and that's because they focus on these larger things that encompass you rather than the smaller ones. You ain't changing. However, you don't look up from your phone when I'm reading for 3-4 hours a day. But as soon as I decide to look at my phone, suddenly a remark's being thrown. But neglect the entirety of whatever else happened that day. Because some parents cherry pick what you do. They cherry pick and want to go ahead and build a case around you to justify the remarks they say against you. Because parents have this, yes, they're your parental figures. But to a certain point, you gotta understand that now, rather than them being a kid, there's a certain level of free will that comes to it. And you have to, I want to say, accept it. You have to accept it. And if you don't want to accept it, that's okay. Because that's the reputation you build with your child. You know, I say child, but your son, your daughter. You know? Again, I'll say your child, but it's no longer a child. It's your kid. And I believe that it's the term itself, actually, that I believe really prevents the growth. There isn't, I don't know if there is a term for when a kid becomes, you're adult, like you're adult. It sounds awkward to say you're adult. But it's the truth, because you go like, your kid. Yeah, that's my son. Yeah, that's my daughter. I don't know. Is there, the gender neutral term is your kid, but your kid, like I believe there's another gender neutral term that we need to develop for this. And I'm speaking this out again. I'm speaking from experience here. I'm not saying this about other people, but I'm saying it from my experience because this is how I feel. And it's something that, although suffocating, I need to go ahead and understand that it's my own suffocation that's occurring. Because what I'm thinking inside my mind will happen, I'm not too sure will happen unless I act upon it. That's the truth, you know. It's all inside your mind until it's actually happening. You may have a really good depiction on how it will go. But just go ahead and act. Do the thing that you need to do. As long as it isn't harming people and it isn't, well, I can't even say that. The Psychology of Money, I believe the first chapter is No One is Crazy. And that's regarding financial situations. Why you justify the purchases that you do. It makes sense to you. It's ludicrous to another person. And to another person, it doesn't even matter. They just don't care. And I believe what's even crazier inside my mind is that this is all just related to me consuming food. Inside my mind, I believe like I have to eat sweets because that's what my parents believe of me. And my parents, honestly, don't give a shit about it. But they do give a shit when they're the ones also eating the sweets and I'm not eating it because I'm deciding to be healthier. So they purposely fucking drag you down and say fucking remarks because they want to fucking call you ungrateful for not eating the slop food that you know is not progressing you towards your goal. But to them, it's just like, whatever the fuck you, you know? Like, genuinely. Those are the things that, like, happen to be said sometimes. They go like, fuck you, like, what the fuck? You think you're better than us? You think this? You think... And it comes to the societal thing where people will hold you down, drag you down, when you're trying to make yourself better. And you just gotta accept the fact that that's the place that they want to be. And it sounds fucked up to say it like that. You're like, wow, like you're really saying it like that? Yeah, I am saying it that way because if that's not the place you want to be, then you would support the other person because then the other person will support you to pull you up too. That's my honest interpretation of that. That is my honest interpretation. But I believe the key takeaways from this morning rambles is one, I need to go ahead and write down what I want and be specific, have room for error. Truly, the whole point of me reducing the calories in my other meals while still hitting a majority of my protein goals is to have that room for error where I want to have a sweet treat. Because, you know, a bit of poison in your life is not going to go ahead and kill you. It might make you a bit stronger. I'm pulling a little bit from anti-fragile there. You know, and it's like, well, you're just justifying the fact that you can eat sweets. No one's crazy. But that's the importance, though, of making sure you actually don't provide misinformation like that. However, I just like sweets. Same way people like alcohol. They make room for alcohol in their life. People want to smoke cigs. They make room for that. All these things, you know, you want to go ahead and have... If you remove all the pleasures from your life, I have no idea what type of life that'd be. To be completely honest, it'd be very bland. You know, to say you don't have a pleasure. But the Buddha would believe that since you don't have a pleasure, rather, what the Buddha believes existence is a pleasure as a whole, do they not? They're in this like euphoric bliss entirely for being in the now, in the present moment. So, but they're not attached to it either. It just is. I drink water. I really do. Whew. Alrighty. Well, I'm at the gym. I didn't forget my headphones. Today is my secondary leg day. Now, since I added a recovery day, I believe I'm going to remove... It has to either be an arm or a leg day. It's most likely going to be an arm. Whoa, an arm day. Well, I'm not going to remove an arm. Holy cow. Or I give my legs more time to recover to bust movements harder. And I believe I might even opt for that too. So I can go ahead and do a lot more compound movements for my legs to strengthen them. Heavier squats. Heavier RDLs. Lunges. Holy shit, dude. Lunges are fucking... Me saying it like that means I need to go work on it. Bulgarian squats. Holy shit. But yeah, this... I'm saying all this. I haven't even posted the other two from the last 2 days. Again, these all serve as reflections for me. I think I embodied that a little bit too much by saying, these are for me. What the fuck am I doing? But, yeah. Anyways, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening, future me. It's been a long process. I think it's an everlasting process for your life to constantly improve. And these act as reflection points, and I'm understanding a lot more. Hold on, pause. I understand. Pause. It is important to reflect daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, on goals and ambitions to have, to continue to improve for yourself. Not for anyone else, but for yourself. Life will throw a lot of things at you where you're going to need to go ahead and bust yourself into gear for other people sometimes. Like a family, a significant other, your family, you know. But what has to boost yourself to improve for your sake? For you. That's an effort that you have to make for yourself. You got to push yourself to go ahead and do that. So yeah, a big key takeaway also for myself here is the act of doing it is a lot more pleasurable than the act of actually doing it. And I'm saying this regarding when I eat Oreos. The idea that, oh my god, I can have that Oreo and eat it and I'll feel absolutely amazing is way, way, way more powerful than me actually eating that damn Oreo, because afterwards I go, fuck, that's a shit ton of calories. Fuck, I'm just adding extra body mass onto my body. Fuck, you know, like, this is what I'm saying. And right now it's making me a bit sick thinking about it like that. And I'm instilling that into my mind regarding Oreos, but regarding other sweets too. Because when I didn't calculate room for error for that stuff, that's error that yeah. Anyways, thank you for listening. Be blessed. Mwah. Woo. All right. So the gym, for some reason, right near the end of my cardio, was packed. It was packed with a lot of people, and I was thrown off my leg day a bit here, you know. It being my secondary leg day, I focus a lot on my hip and glutes. My hips and my glutes. And well, there's one machine that does both of them, and it was occupied. And so was the hip thrusters right next to it, and so were the barbell racks, and so was the leg extension machine. And well, the lying leg curl, I'm too fucking short. Like, I have to scoot down pretty far, so I avoid that one a bit. I might, you know, maybe I need to stretch my legs. Gotta make myself fit. And there was the seated RDLs, except I can still feel a bit of the tension inside my hamstrings from the other days. I feel like I need to stretch my hamstrings more and actually elongate it just a bit. But yeah, so I had to adapt. You know, was it like, well, fuck, I guess I gotta wait X amount of time for a machine to be free? I think that's what most people do. And I didn't do that. I didn't. Oh, hold on. This car is going straight. I forget. It's not. So, anyways, for the cardio, I did my standard treadmill. 10 minutes is focused on my arms. Next 10 is focused on my legs. Last 10 is focused on my core. That went pretty decent. I still feel like I need to actually get I still need to develop a arm routine and rhythm to like cycle through, so I have some at least initial movement, and then I could prioritize on whichever way I want to do. This time I was actually flexing and working on my biceps and my triceps actually cobra curl and like squeezing, tricep push down, squeezing. So my arms got a bit more action there. For my legs, I really focused on doing, what are they called? High knees? Yeah, high knees. High knees, bringing them up, and butt kicks for a good period there, then a bunch of side stepping. And then my core was really focused on the side-to-side motion and a circular motion going up and down. It was pretty standard, you know. Sorry. Yeah, it was typical. It was casual. It was great. And I believe on the treadmill, it came to me. It was an epiphany, and you know, it takes me however long to actually get it to click inside my brain. But it's when you discover it yourself, does it actually, you know, light the bulb a lot brighter. It's not, you know, you can see the words, but just because you see the word doesn't mean you understand it. Does that make sense? So, pretty grand, pretty great. This car is really far up. It's actually on the sidewalk, so I can't see, so I have to take my time because it's being blocked. So, yeah. So, yeah. Pretty grand, pretty great. I don't want to inch forward. Just gonna wait here. Oh, this is great. I'm absolutely confused. Okay. It's just that one, right? Yes, it is. Yeah, sorry, there's the police that just passed by. I was like, whoa, police officer. Damn, pretty nutty. But, yeah, cardio was pretty okay. Oh, but the epiphany, I gotta say this. You go to the gym to build endurance and muscles that replace the body fat you lose through dieting. Now, that's not actually how I said it inside my mind, that's me rephrasing it. But you go to the gym to build muscles, the way you eat is what loses fat. It's that simple. And low-key, I'm fucking stupid for... No, pause. This is how I'm talking to myself. Pause. Trevor Mwah would be very sad. Pause. I am glad that I understand it now. And that it was through my experiences and through my self-discovery that it finally was cemented within my mind. I pat myself, you know, other people like, oh, it's just like that. But I believe I've always been on that. Like, there was this quote where it's like 80% of weight loss happens within the gym. 20% is actually, or 80% happens in the kitchen, 20% happens at the gym. I never understood that. I mean, there was another quote where I said, you can't outrun your diet. I said that the other day. And it finally culminated in a way that made sense to me. You go to the gym to build muscles, whatever you eat, it's what loses weight. And it's actually what you don't eat that loses weight, but rather it's just the caloric deficit. So, yeah, it's actually... Words are empty without action. I have to remind myself that. However, coming to this realization, I believe once again too, it's a realization that I do have to be conscious of what I eat, and that's why I was talking about room for error for the other stuff that I eat. And I had to remind myself back in 2023 when I was losing weight. Actually, I was lying. I went from 192 to 184 in the span of 3 months. So, what is that? Is that an 8-pound drop? An 8-pound drop over 3 months, that's pretty standard. And it was just this caloric deficit that I continuously had. And I knew during those days, that I did eat some sweets, because I made the room for those sweets. I am recalling this pretty well, and knowing that I did eat some days like a quote-unquote cheat meal, because I understood that it was the consistently showing up to the gym that built the muscle. But understand, as long as I consistently ate well, then I'll lose the weight too in the process. Your body has no choice but to cooperate to a degree, to a point. Woo! But yeah, so after that, I actually did a lot more body weight stuff and grabbed the 15-pound kettlebell, because that was the only kettlebell that I could see. I think the kettlebells are actually on the racks where they put all the other accessories, and it's now clicking in my brain. But I used the 15-pound one, that was pretty fine. I was doing lunges, actually. I talked about it earlier. I did some body weight lunges. I did lying, like, hip raises, like single leg hip raises, to actually still work out my hips, because I knew that's what was the focus for the day. I did some resistance butterflies, using my hand to prevent them from coming up. Does that make me weak or strong? I'm not too sure. However, it was still a part of the process. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So it was that for about 30-ish minutes, and I can't really recall the exact amount of reps. I was just going till I was like out of breath, I was tired, and so that might be, I would say, not optimal. It's not optimal because it really wasn't burning the legs. I wasn't going for the burn that people focus on when building muscles. However, I was still in there. I was still moving. I didn't just sit around for 30 minutes. So, I'll pat myself on the shoulder. One step at a time. That was the first day I had to adapt to that degree. There's a lot of cars coming. So, after that, I went to go do the yeses and nos, the hip abductors and glute abductors machine. I did 3 sets at a higher weight. So yeah, I progressively overloaded myself this time. It was actually heavier. I actually still, even though I progressively overloaded, had that 3-second pause at the peak of each of the movements. So, that was also grand. And then I went to go do hip thrust. And while I believe my hip thrust was really, I believe, lacking is the best way to put it. Because I think I'm placing too much weight and I'm not focusing on the pause. Although I did actually feel that burn while doing it. I only did 105. The bar that's used there, it's a shorter one that fits the plates. I don't know if that's 45 pounds or not. So, I didn't say it was 0 because that's just false. But I bet it was like 25 pounds. So 105, there's 40 on each side. And that was from the person who used it before. Whomever that was. Yeah, I did 3 sets of that, and then I called it. I called it there. It was an alright secondary leg day. And I believe this is a prime example of, one, having a plan for when the plan doesn't work. Having a main workout plan, but, having some secondary motions or some secondary exercises lined up just in case equipment's being used or something goes out of order. You still have the knowledge and resources to still hit the same muscle group. And two, and that comes from the psychology of money, to have a plan when the plan doesn't work, But two, from anti-fragile, excuse me, is that the gym machines limit your movement. And although it's like, wow, I can lift this much on a machine, that's a systematic, scripted movement, where life itself doesn't throw you systematic, scripted movements. And so I believe I'm going to shift a lot more from machine use. I already don't use a lot of machines. The treadmill, that's because I'm walking in this space. But I prefer cable movements. And you might say cable movements are about the same thing as gym equipment. But cable movements have a bit more freedom and have a resistance on a path. And so it's a lot more mindfulness that needs to be taken into account. And I believe this ties back even to the other book that I read, that it takes what it takes. It's this active awareness and the truth that needs to be found in the actions that I'm taking. And a bigger thing that I am encompassing here, that I'm believing is a point that I believe Anti-Fragile possibly will cover, but it's something I believe in my personal life that is playing a bigger part in all of these being tied together, is this act that I do right now, this reflection part on tying everything in together as I continuously learn. And it's this constant reflect, revise, repeat. Reflect, revise, repeat. Reflect, revise, repeat. This is what I believe to be a bigger chunk of my improvement, is this reflect, revise, repeat. You reflect on the actions that I was. Revise the actions according to what you reflected on. What needs to go ahead, what is working, what isn't working, why isn't it working, why is what is working. And then repeat this process continuously. And that's like the stacking of improvement. And people might just say, well, that's what it is. But when a system doesn't teach you improvement like that, and teaches you to just do it without thinking of the why, then that's a problem. A lot of this self-talk is bringing awareness to my actions. Speaking more of a ramble, but I want to say this is a reflection, and this is what I call it, a workout reflection. So, yeah. And so now I'm going to go inside. I reflected on my meal plan and I revised it, because the food that I was eating was more for a bulk than it really was for a cut. And so I revised my meal plan to still hit about 150 grams of protein a day, and cut about, I believe it was 300, 400, I think it was 300 to 400 calories of the day, so that I can compensate to actually have a dessert without feeling guilty. Because the whole point of living is also to have some fun. It's not constant it's constant improvement, but still having fun, and it's finding the middle path between it all. And what really works for you. The economist telling you to buy the stock doesn't know the situation you're going through. Neither does the fitness influencer who you watch on social media, who is training to be an IFBB pro, when you're simply trying to lose weight because playing with your siblings or your kids or your family at social gatherings puts you out of breath. Walking up a flight of stairs puts you out of breath. Take a moment to step back and realize what that person is trying to achieve and what you're trying to achieve, and don't take everything they say as an absolute truth. Yeah, well, that was the workout reflection. I told myself I believe I was going to put the video games that I play, I'm going to put that behind this talking, rather than the actual gameplay audio. So, because I'm playing the game, and I told myself I was going to go ahead and watch it. Yeah, alrighty. Catch you all later. I'm saying you all when so far it's just been that one viewer. I don't know who it is. Thank you for being there. Whoever it may be. It's not myself, I can tell you that. Or is it myself? I don't know. Anyways. You're doing great, Jose, and you're constantly improving.